Warning, this podcast may cause spontaneous empire building and analogy to boring wedding advice.
Side effects may include increased confidence, uncontrollable cackling, and deleting your Canva templates out of shame.
We've seen it all. Ghosting clients, rain-soaked ceremonies, and that one groomsman who thought he was Beyonce.
And you know what? Somehow we're still here, thriving, slaying, and spreadsheeting. This is Wedding Empires.
Let's go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 5 of Wedding Empires. I'm Ben. We've got Jack on the right-hand side here, and today we're talking about a subject that is close to my heart and close to everything that's buzzing around my head, my house, my world, and that's ADHD. So we've got our lovely friend Caitlin Blair joining us all the way from the US, and she's huddling in her house hiding from a storm at the moment, apparently. So is the storm, Caitlin, is that the same as the one that's in all our ADHD heads, or?
Yeah, I'm sure. It's just as loud, probably.
So, guys, what Caitlin does is she helps people with ADHD in their businesses. Because if any of you out there have ADHD or you work with someone who does, you realize that their world can be noisy, it can be messy, it can be a bit chaotic, and things can just be generally everywhere in lots of little piles. And this is kind of how we work as people with ADHD and that sort of stuff. So, Caitlin is here today to give us some insight into how we can better navigate things, how we can build some systems and stuff in our businesses to help and manage the noise that's in the head and how we can sort of get around that. She's also going to help with dealing with and working with people that might be ADHDers and that sort of stuff. Strap in for this one. I'm likely to get loud and all over the place. Jack's just sitting there looking at me like, what's this guy?
No. What I'm thinking is,
Jack's thrown this. Jack has thrown this all to me this morning and said, we're not going to do the normal intro. You can just do it. And by the way, we're live for the first time in 2 months. Anyway, here we are. So I've just dropped us all in the deep end. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Caitlin. And Jack, I'm going to throw it over to you for the first question. And we're off.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben. Caitlin, so great to have you here. My first question.
Here.
Thank you. And I know you're in the middle of a storm. You're all the way over in Virginia. First of all, I guess, how did it all come together for you to kind of go, this is my niche and I'm really good at this and there's a business in this?
Yeah. So I have 3 siblings, all of them with diagnosed ADHD and one with ADHD, autism, and anxiety. So I have grown up in a household with neurodivergence. And one of the first clients when I first started my business, I was just a general virtual assistant helping like a family friend. She was a wedding violinist. So I was helping her with her CRM, so with her contracts and invoices and things. And she had ADHD. And I realized that the way that her brain worked was so much like my sister's and how she needed to see her tasks. And it was like, I call it organized chaos, where there's like, to me or like someone from the outside, you might see that there's so much happening, there's so much everywhere, but to them, it's like, oh yeah, under this piece of paper, you'll find this paper clip, blah, 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 like super buried. So they know where everything is in their brain. But it's just there's just so much happening. And so then after that, I was able to help her organize things around, like with her ADHD. So making sure that tasks were there, but also balancing, like not seeing too many tasks because then you'll get overwhelmed and might not physically be able to do anything. And then after I'd worked with her, somebody very similar to her had a similar issue with staying organized and staying on top of tasks. And I've now gotten to the point where if I'm on a call with someone, I'm like, you have ADHD because I know like the things that you're talking about and struggling with, like, I'm like, do you have ADHD? And all of them are like, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much how I started was with with her, a wedding violinist with ADHD. And then I was like, I had worked with some other wedding people and I just love the wedding vendors. But then I specifically have been able to help people with ADHD because of her and because of my siblings as well. So long story short.
No, this is great.
Can I paint a picture for everyone? There was, not to be rude, Caitlin, there was a period there where some of you might have seen it. I kind of glazed over because I just went off on another little tangent. And I had to come back to what you were saying. Now, for anyone that can't quite get the grasp of what happens, the easiest way I can explain what can go on as someone with ADHD and they glaze over and everything else. Imagine sitting in the middle of busy Times Square at a desk trying to do Chinese algebra. Welcome to my world. Like that's quite often what it feels like. There's noise, there's so many shiny objects, and it's just it's really noisy in your head. And to be able to focus on one thing and to get a specific job done, and if that job is something that you don't like if for me it's invoicing, like I put it off and put it off and put it off, and it piles and piles, and that's just another thing. That's what happens. That's what you're dealing with. So if you're speaking to someone and they appear that they glaze over or something like that, and that's kind of what they're dealing with in their head. So just to kind of paint that picture so that you get a concept of what we're talking about. And it's not just someone doesn't care or they're not listening, or it's just they're dealing with so much noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dog is down there snoring his head off, so I hope you can't hear that.
The first question would be, I guess, so now we're like, Ben, you've explained really well kind of like the challenges in the day-to-day of operations. So Caitlin, what would be step one? So they've heard about you, they've come to you and they've gone, I just want to do the photos, like all this other stuff, like the emails and the invoicing and the like, how can I simplify my business? Like, where do you start with that client?
Usually I will help them and we will go over their workflow. And what I mean by that is a workflow is just how to get from step A, point 1 to point 2. And we'll go over every step together of what they need to do. Somebody's filled out a form on their website, what happens? And then we'll go into the details. And I know it can be a lot for people with ADHD, but then after that talk, they're good to go. And we can start building that based off of that conversation. And for them, if they're like, okay, that's great, but how do I do that myself if I don't want to work with you or hire you? You can map out what I mean by that is just list out the tasks that you need to do, and then you can work backwards from there. And don't I know people will just get so focused on a tool and then just build out a whole thing in 12 hours and then be like, okay, I'm never touching that again, and get so burnt out. So don't be realistic and try to space it out so you don't get burnt out and then you never want to touch that tool again. And I found that has been really helpful. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to make the email templates that I need, or this month, that's my goal. And then I won't have to make email templates again because they're already made. Yeah. So that's where I would start, is just realize what you need done and then work backwards from there. Yeah.
I found that also, as you said, doing lists and stuff, I always try before I go to bed the night before to put a list together of the things I need to do the next day. Because if I don't do that, quite often I'll get into my office in the morning and go, what was I supposed to do? And then I just go off on some little journey with something that isn't going to make me money or, extend business or something. Like you're off everywhere. So
yeah, I have found, and if you're looking for a tool or something to help you, people with ADHD, something to visually see what you need, because if it's out of sight, out of mind, you're going to forget it exists if you don't see it. And so that's the big thing, is having something where you can list out all your tasks, but then at the same time, don't list them all, because then you might get just paralysis and there's like, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to do. I just can't do it. There's a word for it. I forget what it is, but it can come off as being lazy, but you are neurodivergent. You're not being like your brain physically will not allow you to complete those steps. So that's where automations come in. Having things that you don't have to do be automated. And so then that's off your task list. You don't have to see that. And that automations, I think, is the key for people with ADHD and being efficient is just have your tool do it. Have something, send that email automatically or add that task automatically or whatever.
Yep. And it's funny you said the visual component to things. Like if you sit down in my office and look around the walls, there's visual planners, there's visual step systems all over in my office because I need, as someone, I need to see things visually. And I thought, it's just because I'm a photographer or whatever. It's just because I'm a creative or whatever. But now I understand that it's because I needed to see things visually as opposed to, a list of text or numbers or something like that. Yeah.
I imagine something like Trello would be a good, I'm not somebody who has ADHD, but in a visual way like that, is that the sort of software that you'd move them to? Can you talk me around that? Like when you're introducing a better way to manage tasks?
Yeah.
Like what software would you recommend? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Trello for project management. So, all right, if you're a wedding planner, great, they signed the contract. Now what do I need to do? And then Trello, you can list out all your tasks and keep things organized there. And what's great with Trello is you can like collapse the list. I know that's confusing because I'm not showing you, but then it's just like a little line as opposed to seeing everything. So I found that that's helpful. So it's a lot less overwhelming. So there's that if you want to get techie. There's also just a planner. Like if you're not a very tech person, don't push yourself over the edge to try to learn something. Just have a planner where you can list things out, like you were saying, and with your room, how there's just so much there, which I love. So I would highly recommend. I'm glad that you brought up Trello because that's the big one that I recommend people for managing their business tasks and things.
Yeah. I think that's would be an obvious one.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to for those of you who haven't used Trello, probably Ben, I don't think you've used Trello, have you?
If you're in the business of making dreams come true, listen up because the Wedding Academy is your ticket to success. Running a wedding business isn't always a walk down the aisle. It takes skill, savvy, and a whole lot of know-how. That's where the Wedding Academy swoops in to save the day. Imagine easy-to-follow certificate courses taught by industry pros covering everything from wedding styling to floral design to even marketing and business for any kind of wedding business. All Wedding Academy courses are 100% online, self-paced, and come with ongoing training and support to keep you up to date. And here's the cherry on top. I've wrangled up an exclusive deal. Just punch in the code PODCAST when you enroll and bam, you'll score a sweet 5% off any course. Ready to take your wedding business to the next level? Then head on over to the Wedding Academy today at weddingacademyglobal.com. Don't forget to plug in that code PODCAST to check out with your special discount.
Maybe with me.
I don't use anything like that, and there is a reason for it. And it goes like Caitlin's nodding her head. She already knows what I'm going to say. The reason that I probably should use a CRM of some description. And there's been times in my career where I've just gone, there's too many weddings, there's too much going on, I can't juggle it all. And if I had something like that, then I might have been able to manage it better. But stepping into something like that is new, is scary. And I personally, and I'm sure this is the same for other people, we hate change.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get comfortable with something, Like you get comfortable with something and you set up your system for it. It might be a little bit longer than it could be for someone else using automated software, but it's your system. You're comfortable with it. It works for you, and you just stick to that because you feel safe in that system.
Mhm.
The reason that I haven't gone to some big, like ages ago, I tried a CRM and it kept, and it's the industry leading, one of the industry leading ones for photography, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just kept going, what the no,
Yeah, it's
can't
so
do this.
exhausting.
Eject.
Yeah.
I didn't even really get into it because it just got too overwhelming with them adding so much that I just had to eject.
Mhm.
And that's why many of us won't jump into something like this because
Mhm.
it's new, it's scary, it's confusing, and it's just you need the courage to be able to walk through that door.
Exactly. And also, yeah, know yourself and know like, all right, if I try this, is this gonna like, am I gonna get super burnt out because I'm trying to learn a new system, I'm trying to change everything. So if you feel like that's too much, you can stick with your planner, stick with the notebook and list out things there like you were saying. But also, yeah, challenge yourself and see, all right, I'm gonna test it out for a month, see what happens, see if it's better for me, because you can always go back. It's not written in stone.
When it comes to setting up like automations, so say like in its most simplest form, like sending out a reminder to pay or a reminder about an upcoming appointment or something like that. Do you ever approach it in a way that you kind of go, let's just map it out on paper and build it for them?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I imagine something like that would be helpful, that they can, it's in a visual way that they can understand, but they don't need to know the nuts and bolts of it's just going to turn up.
Yeah.
Is that
So
right?
I have an Excel sheet where we'll talk through everything. Like, all right, you want to send this email reminder 3 days before your session, and great, that's on the Excel sheet. I know I need to build that. And then throughout, because I don't want to just throw them to the wolves and be like, all right, here's your account and your automations, have fun. So throughout the process when I'm building, I'll create little videos and be like, all right, this is what it looks like. This is what's going to happen, like how you wanted on the Excel sheet that we did together. This is what it looks like, and then warm them up there. And then once everything's done, we have a super fun offboarding call where I show them everything. And then that's where I'm like, if you want to make changes here, you can do this, you can do that. And then they can opt in for 30-day support. And if they want to do that, then they can hop on a call with me and be like, great, can you walk me through it again? Because that was just a lot of information. And yeah, so that's the Excel sheet that I have at the very beginning where we're like, all right, let's talk through your wedding. All right, great. Do you offer birthday parties? Do you offer portrait mini sessions? Whatever. Like, we'll talk about all of that in case if there's custom things here and there for processes. But yeah, the little videos throughout, I try to do it so they feel comfortable with using it once we're done. Because that can be scary.
Yeah, having the videos, like I know when you're creating a system for something, if you can have those little videos, just even like for me to prompt myself.
Yeah.
Having those little videos to refer back to is such a helpful thing. And it just means that with that system, if you step out of that business, you can give that system to someone else and go, here you go, this is what needs to happen. And they can just watch the videos and then they can do it. So you don't need to be the one managing it all the time. So yeah, I think systems are so important for this kind of scenario.
Yeah. Or even an assistant too. Be like, all right, great, this is how it works. And then send the videos to your assistant and then they can send the emails on behalf of you or whatever.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to tasks that they really don't want to do, but they have to do? How do you like massage, like, do you go, okay, like, let's do it first thing on a Monday, like when you've got the most, I don't know, like how do you kind of massage that in and make that happen?
I mean, it depends on the person because sometimes it's more extreme than somebody else. But I'll be like, all right, something that has helped me is I will like hype myself up for it. And if it's something that happens like once a month or whatever, I'll reward myself with like a sweet treat. Be like, all right, great. I did the thing I did not want to do. I'm going to go get my Starbucks, or I'm going to go take a 20-minute nap or whatever I feel like is reward. That really helps. But if it's something repetitive, like, oh, I hate sending this one email, blah, blah, blah. Usually recommend, like, again, everybody's so different. Usually what I'll say is first thing in the morning, like you said, and just don't even think about it. Just go through the motions, blah, 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 and then hit send or hit blah, blah, blah. And if it's that stressful for you, throw your phone. Like, walk away from your desk if you're like, it's a stressful email, and get away from the situation for a bit, and then you can come back. But yeah, it depends on the task, depends on the person. But yeah.
One of the greatest tools that I found, and I hope this resonates with a lot of other people, is if there's a difficult conversation that you need to have, a difficult email, something difficult that you need to do, just bite the bullet and do it first. Just get it done. And there was, I can't remember who the author was, but there was a book, an audio book that was brought out. I think it was called Eat That Frog. And it talks about systems and stuff. I can't remember who the author was, but he's quite famous. It's called Eat That Frog. And it's about, taking on that challenging task first and getting the tough stuff out of the way before you step into, the other stuff that you want to do and that sort of thing. So I think it's important that if you have something you don't want to do, the tough stuff or the hard conversations, just bite the bullet and just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's tough and it is a hard thing. And I guess if I can go off on a little tangent here, because that sometimes happens, that scheduling of things, doing things, taking the first step for things, it kind of leads on to the fact that a lot of times people with ADHD also suffer from anxiety, depression, crippling self-doubt. Like, there's a lot of that goes on. And Jack, we did a little podcasty sort of live stream and stuff about that a while back.
Yeah.
Like all of us feel a little bit of self-doubt and a bit of anxiety and stuff going on, all the time, I'm sure. With people with ADHD, it tends to multiply. And because we do fixate on things, and there's sometimes you can't get your brain out of a certain thing. So, having that and dealing with that, as well as all the noise and stuff, is another challenge that people need to take. And quite often you'll hear people say, look, come and talk to me. I'm here if you need me. My door's always open and that sort of stuff. They're basing that comment on the assumption that you actually have the courage to walk through that door, to ask for help, to go, hey, I'm just not coping. I'm depressed. I'm whatever. And that then leads into making sure that if you're feeling this and if you're struggling to get things done, there's lots of noise in your head, you're finding there's little piles of things to do all around your house and you're just not productive, that maybe it's time for you to go and see a doctor and take that step and go, hey, I think I might be ADHD. Can we go through the process to see if that's a thing? Because I won't lie to you, pretty much everyone that has something like this and has been formally diagnosed, and then if you want to do it, it's a personal choice to have medication for it, that will change your world. Mm-hmm. Because it absolutely has for me, and it absolutely has for probably 20 other people that I've come across and that I've helped in this process. So even my beautiful partner, Haley, like she, I went through first and she did the same thing, and it's helped her immensely, and it answers a lot of questions as to why we do things and what we say and how we do it. So
exactly.
The anxiety, the depression and that sort of stuff, it's a big part of this as well.
Definitely. I think, can we talk about, like, there's people that suspect that they have some sort of ADHD or neurodivergence, or, like me, I've got the complex PTSD and that causes the depression and the anxiety and the overwhelm and all of that. I'm of the opinion it was really helpful to get the diagnosis, to kind of go, okay, this is what this is. Let me first understand it. What's your opinion, Ben? I mean, do you think that's step one, like figure out what it is?
So diagnosis, in my opinion, is not a dirty word.
Yeah, me too.
The label ADHD, I don't think is anything derogatory, negative, or anything like that, because I can confidently say to you, had I have worked out what this was, and potentially my parents worked out what this was when I was a kid, I might have done a lot better in school. Like I might have been a pilot now. Like who knows? I couldn't be a pilot because my grades weren't high enough, and I didn't go through year 12 because I just could not do any more school. Like I left in year 10 and I went to the military. So had I have had the help and had the insight into this that I have now via a diagnosis, then I think that would have drastically changed my outcome and my trajectories. Definitely it's the first step. Like go and see your doctor and go, hey, tell them what's going on. If you're struggling to get things done, if there's lots of noise in your head, if you've got piles of stuff everywhere, if you're suffering anxiety, depression, crippling self-doubt, all that sort of stuff, then go and talk to someone and see if there's some way it can help you. You don't necessarily need to be medicated. You don't necessarily, and this is not medical advice, you don't necessarily need the antidepressants and all that sort of stuff. It might be just a case of one strategic step that can really help you in managing everything day to day and elevate you.
I think too, outside of introducing systems and tools and things like that, what about like, Caitlin, have you suggested any other kind of habits, like around if they're having a moment like that and it's all too much, or to just create kind of balance or listen to their body and focus on particular, like, I don't know, like, is there something more holistically outside of the systems that you have found has helped people facing this?
Yeah. And this is something that you can do. It's really beneficial if you don't like doing what you're doing. If you're doing the admin work when you really want to be taking the photos right now, I recommend doing 25 minutes of work, set a timer, and then after that timer, take a 10-minute break and go stretch, go to the bathroom, eat a snack, whatever, and then get back to it for another 25 minutes. That helps you reset your brain, get you back in the zone, a little freshness to your routine. Something else you can do is you can partner that with time blocking. That sounds like a scary word, but it's like you go in your calendar and you say, all right, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'm going to be working on sending emails to the people or responding to inquiries. And then during that time, 25-minute timer, 10-minute break, 25-minute timer, all of that. And then from 10 to 11, I'm going to be editing this client's gallery. And then from 11 to 12, I'm going on lunch and all of that. So you can time out your day so you know what's going to be happening. And also so that way you don't get like super zoned in on a project and then 6 hours have gone by and you're like, crap, I totally forgot to do this other thing. And now that client project is behind. So that time blocking helps you stay focused with getting the task done without getting like too zoned in, and then taking that break, stepping out. And yeah, that's what I have found helpful for me and also for some of my other neurodivergent business people. But test it out. Everybody's different. It might work great for one person because ADHD, there's a lot that's similar, but my sister is so different than my cousin who also has diagnosed ADHD versus my aunt versus there's so many people in my family that have it, and they're all different, but there's like obviously similarities that help them. So,
great. Thank you.
Can I add to that? Like breathing exercises are really good as well. Just to sit back and just take 6 deep breaths, center yourself, and that sort of thing. The breathing really helps as well. So yeah.
Awesome. So Ben, I believe you've got a special question that you like to ask. Is that right?
Is it that time already?
It is. Why are you watching the clock? Can't you do 3,000 things at once?
What? With everything else? Wow. So yeah, Caitlin, I have a little question I like to ask, I guess. If you walked outside today, ran into an 18-year-old version of yourself, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now?
Question. I would say just keep going and keep trying, because entrepreneurship I have done so many different things with. I didn't start with systems. I tried social media. I tried copywriting. I tried blog. I did a lot. And now I've been with systems for a year and a half and I am obsessed with it. And because I did all those other things, I am now great at what I do. So just don't give up. Just keep going, keep trying, keep doing it scared. Like, it'll be okay.
Yeah. And can I just share, like, I've asked that question to so many people, like even quite influential people that I've managed to sit in large, rooms and stuff with. And a lot of those, entrepreneurs and those big business people like your Richard Bransons and stuff like that, having been asked this question, so many of them have said to focus on one thing, be great at that, and then move on to the next. And I think that's such good advice coming from someone with ADHD, coming from, someone like that, because that's the simplest thing that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Is just focus on that one thing, get great at it, and then move on to the next. So can I tell an ADHD joke?
Do it.
Go for it.
How many ADHD kids does it take to change a light bulb? Want to go swimming?
Literally like talking to my cousin.
Yeah. That's my favorite ADHD joke.
Well, thank you so much, Caitlin. That was really insightful.
Guys.
And yeah, I can see on Ben's face that he's got a bit out of that. So if anyone would like to connect with Caitlin and work with her business is virtuallyvital.co. You can also find her on Instagram and her Facebook. She's got a Facebook page as well, and it's the same, Virtually Vital VA. Now, don't go anywhere. If you want to listen to the next few episodes coming up your way, we need to do a subscribe, whether you're watching us on YouTube, in the Facebook group, or you can find us on any of your favorite podcast streaming services. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Speak
you.
soon.
Lovely to meet you, Caitlin. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys as well. That was so fun.
All righty.
If you made it this far, congrats. You've got great taste and you've probably got cool hair.
Want to go pro without the burnout, the guesswork, or the TikTok hacks from Karen in Ohio?
We've got you. The Wedding Academy is your backstage pass to a smarter and sassier wedding biz.
Use the code PODCAST for 5% off at weddingacademyglobal.com.
And don't forget to subscribe.